I don't have an identity in English,
No,
and
there's nothing wrong with that. It's awesome.
oh no, it's horrible. I feel like I need to have an identity. I feel like seriously.
As soon as you started talking, I'm like, she has a British accent. It's not Australian.
I don't have an identity in English,
No,
and
there's nothing wrong with that. It's awesome.
oh no, it's horrible. I feel like I need to have an identity. I feel like seriously, yeah, because I know who I am. I mean, I know myself in Portuguese, and I know, for example, I wouldn't pronounce the word heart in Portuguese, coração, with
Mm.
with an with an accent from the northeast. It's where is Kel from? She's from
Maranhão.
Maranhão. So
Yeah.
I guess she would say coração. I never
Yeah,
would,
she said coração. Yeah.
yeah, I would never pronounce it this way. I would say coração. I'm
Yeah.
from São Paulo. I'm Paulista. I I don't know. And these things, um, your pronunciation shows people where you're from. It's your identity. I studied bilingualism at post graduation, and oh my god, it's so deep, and I feel I don't know how to explain how I feel. I just feel lost, and oftentimes people they'll ask me, "Are you British? Are you Aussie?" And I'm like, "No, I'm Brazilian." And they'll yesterday, after a whole week of classes, our student found out that it was Brazilian, and he was,
Mm.
"How come?" I didn't pick that up. It was like I feel I don't have an identity.
But
Um,
it's tough, isn't it? Because it's almost like first world problems where if you had a really thick Brazilian accent, you'd be like, God damn it, I just want to get rid of this accent and not have this accent. Yeah, exactly. But now that you don't have it, you're like, God damn it, I just wanted an Australian personality. So what about slang though? Like, do you think a big part of it might not necessarily be accent, but that you picked up certain ways, certain things that Australians say that you can sort of accentuate? Because one of those things, again, I keep rabbiting on about Portuguese, but that's my sort of example. Um, Kel is always saying stuff to me at home that is very northeast Brazil. So I'll say things like, "Oh, eita," or "éguas," or "ehadjas," or yeah, and all of that. So
so
these are all like little exclamations, right? So if she gets
funny.
surprised, she'll be like, "Oh, éguas," but it's not said by the rest of Brazil. And so I feel like now she'll be like, I'm making you into a Maranhense. I'm turning you into a Northeasterner, because if you go to Brazil, you'll be saying all these little things and everyone's going to be like, what?
If you go to São Paulo and you say éguas,
She's
people
got
like,
she bought
crap, like me now.
she bought a t-shirt for Noah that just has egg was on the front of it. My son, baby. So
That's hilarious. I've never heard that before.
really, really far out. Yes, she's got heaps of them. But did you pick up things like that in Australia? Are there loads of things that you started saying that helped you fit in, especially with the amount of slang that we have?
I do say things like servo, garbo, siki, prezi, crazy, fair dinkum.
Hmm.
Uh, what else do I say? Good day. Um, I do use some, but not a lot of them. Like just these chucky bicky, just these short words.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. But in terms of idioms, not many, to be honest.
What do you
Yeah.
say to students who come to you and say, because I've had a few from Colombia as a good example where I think they have very sort of a stratified society where there's different classes, right? There's the guys at the top and the guys at the bottom. And I think I met some people who were like, I don't want to use slang because that's something that, people from the lower class will do, and I don't want to appear like that. Should I learn slang in Australia? And I'm like, well, we're kind of homogenized. It's just sort
Yeah.
of one class. So you'll hear the Prime Minister using slang. You'll hear, Garbos using slang. Everyone uses slang. Everyone tries to just speak the same way. So what sort of advice do you have for students who say, should I learn slang and colloquialisms in Australian English?
If you want to fit in, yes,
Yeah.
you should. Yeah. Because that's how I feel. yeah, I feel that I belong to the group because I do the same as they do. Yeah, so yeah, totally. And we do have Aussie English classes there at school too. So it's cool, and we try to incorporate it into the speaking activities we do in class. And I do encourage them, at least like these little things, or at least we try to raise their awareness um, to the fact that, look, this exists. If you want to understand English or Aussie English better, you should learn the slangs that they use. You should try to practice. You should try and watch more TV and listen to Aussie English podcasts, and listen to the radio. Listen to
Yep.
the radio, and you see people using that, and then maybe if they have this kind of prejudice, yeah, they would see that there's nothing wrong with using slang, and it doesn't make them sound poor, rich, or educated, non-educated. Here in Australia, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, and I'm always saying to them, just use this, not necessarily like every other word, using slang, but use those common ones like arvo, Barbie, g'day, how's it going, because it makes me feel at ease. If you were to greet me in the street and be like, hey Pete, how's it going, mate? I'd be like, oh yeah, he knows what's up. Instead of, if you just said, how do you do, that would instantly make me feel uncomfortable because I'd be like, oh, this is formal.
G'day guys, that was a short clip from my interview with Brazilian English teacher here in Australia, Milene Sales. It was a pleasure having her on. Make sure that you keep your eye out for the upcoming full episode, which will be out in a few days, and you'll be able to download the full episode on my podcast, the Aussie English Podcast. You'll be able to find that via any good podcast app on your phone, tablet, or computer. In the meantime, if you want access to any of my other content, my courses, and the online academy, you can visit me at aussieenglish.com.au. I'll see you there, and I hope you have a ripper of a day. See ya!